So you've just purchased your first film camera, you went out and bought some film, gone and taken some exposures, and you paid for it to get it developed, or you did it yourself, props to you. And now you're ready to sink more money into a money pit of film photography by buying a scanner. The reason I love film photography so much is because of how involved you can be with the process. Being able to control the development and scanning process at home is a really rewarding way of saving money in the long run, and it's also a really good way for beginners to get into film photography. Starting out film photography is difficult when you're spending money on all sorts of things and nobody really wants to invest a lot of money into a scanner, and that's totally understandable. There's actually many different ways of scanning negatives, and a good cheap one is using a DSLR camera against a backlit surface and taking a photo of them and then importing them and getting it converted. However, I recommend using a flatbed scanner as it's much more simpler for beginners because you can use the software provided and convert them that way. Which is why when I first started, I tried to find the cheapest flatbed scanner out there, and I eventually settled for the v370. There was a bit of messing around with the colors though when I would scan my negatives, and I eventually picked up a medium format camera, yashica-A, and I needed something that could scan 120mm format film, which the v370 could not do, so I had to buy a new scanner. Go figure. So I had a look around, and a lot of people were saying that the v550 is what they use to scan negatives, so I figured I'd give that one a shot. And it's been pretty good so far. Haven't had a lot of time with it, but I think it does a pretty good job. That being said though, the v550 does cost $200 more or so than the v370, and a lot of people are telling me that the v370 isn't really a professional scanner at all. It's only really meant for scanning old photographs. So I figured, now that I own both, I may as well do a comparison video and we'll see how they hold up against each other. Is it really worth spending $200 more? I guess we'll find out. So just a quick little overview of both the scanners before we get into the comparison of them all. The v370 is a lot smaller than the v550. It comes with one film holder, which can do one strip of 35mm film, so that's 6 exposures. Also has 4 slide holders. The v550 on the other hand has 2 film holders. It can do 2 strips of 35mm film, which is quite an upgrade when you're doing your scans, so you don't have to keep taking them out and putting new ones in. Also does 4 film slides, but it comes with a second film holder, which is for the 120mm film, and v370 does not have that once again. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to know how I go about scanning my film, leave a comment in the section below and I'll make sure to make a video separate to this one. Personally though, I prefer to use the Negative Lab Pro plugin for Lightroom instead of the Epson Scan software, as I feel that it gets a way better dynamic range. The colors are a lot more correct and bring it a lot closer from what you would get at the lab. You can still get great results with the Epson Scan software, so I'll also be doing a couple of tests on those and we'll be comparing them to the other scans. With that being said though, not everyone can afford Negative Lab Pro or other scanning softwares such as Silverfast or ViewScan. And you can still get great results with the Epson Scan software, it just means you'll have to mess around with the colors a bit more before you get a result that you're happy with. So what I'll do is, I'll use each of the scanners to scan a couple of negatives, and I'll use the 2 different methods of using the Epson Scan software and the Negative Lab Pro method to convert the negatives. I'll also make sure not to edit any of these photos, that way we can see the differences between each of them. Now that we've scanned our film in each scanner, let's take a look at the final results. The Epson scans from the v370 came out lacking a bit of detail and seemed to have a strange blue hue, which would require a lot of work to get it fixed after scanning. This hue made for some really cool movie pictures in some of the shots. The biggest surprise for me was the Negative Lab versions of the v370 scans, which had a far better color representation than the Epson software. I felt that the quality was still slightly lacking however. The scans from the v550 using Epson Scan looked so much better from that of the v370. It seemed to struggle when trying to process the colors and still looked a bit saturated. It also looked to me as if it had a bit too much magenta in some of the images. The scans using a Negative Lab from the v550 scanner were the clear winner for me. The images look crisp and the colours were nice and strong. Negative LabPro and a good scan is a strong combination, and it just works for me. Which scans do you think came out the best? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the pictures. See ya. However, a good cheap method is using your DSLR camera if you have one. So you've just bought your first film camera. Ah, shit. And you can use the software provided to scan your negatives. It's so dumb. I don't know how I go about scanning my negatives. Just leave a comment below. Oh, fuck. I gotta look up the fucking lens.